Every time you guys see my face done up, I always get questions like, do you have a tutorial? Do you have a tutorial? Like, I do, but it's not like one specific like tutorial that I do. It's not like specific products that I use every time. More so of like a general vibe, I guess. But we're gonna do it together. Have y'all seen that TikTok? That girl is like, put your makeup on.
Can we get back to wearing some makeup? Why did I just watch a girl do her makeup? Like,
I feel her. I have the same sentiment. Like, it's fall time. It's time to kick it up. Put it on. And we're also gonna do like a little story time about funny things that have happened, like including like me and my parents. I didn't do anything to really prep my face. I don't know what I was on this time when I did my braids, but I did them like so good this time. This is my favorite water bottle right now. Armani Beauty. It's the Luminous Silk foundation and I wear the shade 13.25. Let's get into story time, shall we? So the first story, I told y'all this was like parent themed. My mama got stuck on a roof. You heard me right. This little tool right here is like a little foundation spatula, and what you do is you just take it. You see how you just get like such nice even coverage, and then I'm gonna work it in with a brush. And let me just paint the scene for you, okay? This was when we lived in Detroit. One of our really good family friends was also a teacher at my high school. She invited us to the school to watch fireworks on the roof because our school was like close to downtown. And at this time, this was like the tail end of my parents' separation. I don't know if I ever like really like painted that full story for y'all, but that was like a whole 2-year sort of ordeal. And they're like, yeah, we're just gonna watch the fireworks on the roof. And we were like, okay, cool. No issues, no concerns were voiced, nothing. I am using the Lancome Tint Idole concealer, and I'm gonna be using 2 concealers. This one is the darker shade that's closer to my skin tone, and then I'm gonna use a lighter one to like highlight underneath my eyes. I used the shade 460 in this. We had to like go up a ladder that was like in the I don't want to say it was a storage room, but it was like a utility type of room. We had to go up a ladder. As you can see, I'm applying a lot more concealer than y'all have seen me do this summer. It's not like a regular ladder. Like we're not like, it's not like a fold-up ladder. It's one of those ladders that's like welded to the wall, and it's like a steel or whatever ladder, and you're just climbing the ladder straight up. It's time to come down the ladder, and I'm noticing, but I'm not really paying any attention to it, that we're like kind of lining up each person to go down the ladder, and my mama keeps making her way back further back, and she's like, no, you go ahead, you go ahead. You know how the person who like don't want to do what everybody else is doing, so they let everybody else go in front of them? That's what she was doing. And I said to my mom, I was like, you go down first and I'll go down behind you. And she was like, no. Hold on, let me put my eyebrows on because I can't really talk while I'm doing this. This is the Color Pop Brow Precision brow pencil. I get down the ladder, I look up, and my mama is just up there bawling. I'm like, what has happened from the time where I was up there that I climbed down this ladder? Nothing in my mind said my mama is afraid to come down this ladder, because my mama doesn't really have a fear of heights. She flies. She's not a roller coaster person, just like I'm not, but she flies frequently. And so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna come back up. So I get back on the ladder and I climb back up. I was like, Wendy, what is come down the ladder. And I'm like, at this point, I didn't even get off of the ladder, like back onto the roof. I just climbed back up the ladder, and I'm just kind of like, you know how you can just like stand on it and just like hold on? She starts yelling at me to get off of the ladder because she's afraid of the ladder, right? And I was like, okay, come down with me, climb down with me. Like, I'll climb down underneath you and we can climb down the ladder together. Like, you won't fall. She's like, no, I'm not gonna do that because I'm gonna fall on top of you and then I'm gonna kill you on the concrete. Somebody asked me, they were like, why didn't you tell us your mom was afraid of heights? I was like, I had no idea. They're like, yeah, we gotta go at some point. Like, we can't be here at the school all night. And they're like, we're gonna have to call the fire department to come and get her down. I was like, absolutely not. So I'm about to put on my second base of layer of concealer. And I like to use a lighter shade. I have 3 here. I'm not really sure which one I'm gonna use. So I'm gonna go with Caramel by NARS. I told y'all that my parents were separated at this time. Divorce papers had not been signed, but there was no reconciliation. My parents, under no circumstances were they like friends. It was like, I have to deal with you for right now, but that's about it. I was like, I really don't have any other choice. I'm gonna have to call my dad. That was the only other person I could think of, because you guys have to remember, our family is not based in Detroit. Quick little break. I'm using a cream bronzer. This one is from NARS. It's Laguna number 5, and then just like a flat foundation brush to apply it. And I've been applying my cream bronzer a little bit higher these days, like just to paint the picture for like why I didn't call anybody else. There wasn't nobody else for us to call. Like our family, friends, like the people that were close to our family were already there with us, so there was nobody else for me to call. I called my dad and I was like, hey, I need you to come to my school right now and help get Wendy off of the roof. Immediately my dad busts out cackling. My dad has the most like distinctive like laugh. I had to explain it to him. You know how you call somebody and you tell them what's happening and they want to know all the details, and like, I can't tell you everything right now, I just need you to come and help. I'm blending out my bronzer with like the same brush I used to blend out my foundation. I feel like that's a really key tip if you want everything to mesh together. Using the same brush that you use to blend out your foundation will help kind of like tone things down that you overdid and just like blend stuff in general. So he was like, okay, whatever, because I just knew like no matter what, my dad is like a very, very dependable guy. No, like if you call him and say I need you right now, he's coming. Like I could call my dad right now and be like, I need you to come help me with my mama. He's gonna show up. My dad is like, Wendy, come down the ladder, please. And she's like, did you call your dad? Like she fit stops. She's like, did you call your dad? I was like, who else was I gonna call? I'm like, I don't have any patience for y'all. And I have already been through like 1.5 to 2 years of divorce proceedings with you guys. I don't have time for it. Talk to this man and see if you can get down. She's not budging. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna climb up there. I'm like, be careful, daddy. Cause my dad is like, it's not like an obese man. My dad is like a big burly man. Like he's a big statuesque man. I'm like, please don't take this ladder down, because then really how we gonna get her off? He gets up there on the roof. He's talking to her on the roof. He's like being so nice, which I was like, are y'all about to get back together on this roof? And my parents literally come down the ladder like one by one, like step by step. And he did what I had told her I was gonna do with her, like just come down the ladder like with you right on top of me basically, and we'll come down together like as like a little extra security blanket for you. Anyways, I guess she didn't care about falling on top of my daddy. She was like, I can fall on top of you, I don't want to kill my baby. That let me know right there. I was like, I always knew my dad was super dependable, but that was like, oh, I can really actually call you for anything on this green earth, because you and this lady hate each other right now. But I was like, I need you to come and get her off this roof, and my daddy pulled right up. I did a darker concealer, a lighter concealer. I applied my bronzer. Now I'm gonna do a blush. This is a Milani blush in the shade Blushing Berry. Let's talk about a time where me and my mom, like as like a teenagers, like, or me as a teenager, we did not get along. I brought you in this world, I can take you out. That's like the school my mama came from. So that just gives you an understanding of where we're going with this story. I was at this age where I was just like a spoiled brat. Like at the time I was watching a lot of Simple Life. I was watching a lot of like My Super Sweet 16. Like that was my jam. I was watching The Hills and I thought that was my reality. At this time, very, very much so obsessed with Baby Fat. All things Baby Fat was like my jam. We were in Detroit and we went to Eastland Mall. Before I get into that part of the story, I'm about to set under my eyes, but before I like bake and everything, I'm just gonna put a little layer of powder. This just helps so that you don't have like a lot of clumping. And the powder that I'm using, this is the Laura Mercier translucent honey setting powder. I like the honey one, and it was like a requirement every time we went to Eastland Mall. I had to stop in this one little store. I can't remember what it was called, but it was like a little urban clothing store, and it sold like baby fat, like South Pole. What was that clothing line that Eve had? Fetish. We go into the mall, and my mom was like, we're not going there today. And I was just like, hey, you know, like as a kid, you're not really listening for real. I was just like, you know, whatever, we going to my store. I'm getting closer and closer to the store. She's like, Niara, come on. I'm just like, can we go in here just for a second? Like, please, whatever. I can't remember what I said to convince her to go into the store, but somehow we end up inside the store. This is when they just came out with watches. Y'all remember they had like the little watch that looked like this? Yes, I had that watch. Elated. I saw this watch and I wanted it so bad. My mama had told me, remember, we not in here for you today. And I'm just like, I'm like, can I get it? Like, I done tried to watch on and everything. I'm looking at it. She's like, no. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm starting to get an attitude. And then like the more and more I realize like we're leaving the store without this watch, I am getting heated. Like my blood is boiling. I'm mad. So we leave the store and I kind of just got like a little attitude. I'm just like, I'm pouting, I'm huffing, I'm puffing, I'm dragging my feet, I'm being slow, all of that. And my mama is a very no nonsense type of lady, to the point of like, if I tell you no, we can't do something, that is that. Like, no, we can't do it, move along. If you get an attitude about it, I'm gonna give you something to have an attitude about. And we're walking back out the mall and we're walking by the store again. And my mama starts like picking up pace, walking fast, which she doesn't even say nothing to me. She just walks in, walks to the counter. She's like, can we get that watch right there? She gets the watch for me. I'm like jumping for joy inside. I'm so happy. I didn't explain that last step to y'all. I just used a bronzer, a powder bronzer. So we did the cream bronzer. We set our whole face and then we put a powder bronzer on top. It's the shade Cocoa from Subtle Beauty. And now it's time for powder blush, which I think I'm gonna mix two. I have this shade by Revlon called Very Berry. And then this shade from Armani, it's called, I think it's called like Love or something. It just says number 11 on the back though. But I think it was called like Love. This is what it looks like. It doesn't look like much, but you watch. I'm like, yes, like inside, like so happy. I'm getting my watch, yada yada, like not thinking nothing of it. But then I kind of peep, like she mad. Like she's big mad. She's like not happy about it like I am. Like usually like when my mama would buy me something like that I really wanted, she would like kind of smile at me, you know, be happy, something. She was not happy. You know, as a kid, like you realize like I've messed up, but I just don't know like to what extent it's gonna go to. Like how bad did I mess up? I was just like in that space. I was just like, I don't know what's happened here. Like she bought me the watch, but she's mad about it. Like it's not computing. So we get in the car. I love this blush. It doesn't look like it does much, but it just like adds like the softest like little sheen and glow, and it's like such a nice like little like, it's just such a nice color. I definitely think everybody should try it. I have several eyeshadow palettes here. This one from Milani, which is like their matte eyeshadow, which is like one of my favorites. And we started driving away. Next thing I know, I just got like a good slap to the mouth, I think. Mama went off, lost it. She was like, everything is not about you. Like, you are so spoiled. You think everything, like she's just going off. It, like, to be fair, she was correct. Like, that's very much how I thought at that time. Like, if you telling me I'm not getting what I want, I'm about to be mad and I'm about to have an attitude with you until you do what I want. I tell people this story. I'm like, it's very likely that my mama could have like unalived both of us. We were driving. It's not even like this was just happening in the parking lot. My mama was full on driving on the highway. Do it like, and I'm sitting in the front seat, and you know they always say nothing is worse than a car beating, because you have nowhere to go. You have nowhere to run. You have nowhere to hide, especially if you're in the front seat with them. Like I'm sitting right across from her. Where can I go? Out rolling onto 94? No. I just used this dark shade in here. It's called Cinnamon Spice in this palette. I used that in the corner, and now I'm using the shade No Plum Intended, and I'm putting that all over my lid. So it's a little color. It's like a pinky color, but it's still very like nudie based, you know, but I felt like it would go nicely with the blush that I used today. We're gonna put this Urban Decay Moon Dust shadow on here. If you guys have not seen this on TikTok, it's like viral. This is the shade Space Cowboy. I'm literally just gonna like pat my finger in it a few times, and it just gives you like the prettiest like iridescent little sparkle. This is from Persona. They have really creamy liners, and I don't really do a ton of liner. I just do a little bit, enough to like sort of like elongate my eye and to like make it noticeable, but I also smudge it out all the time. And then you're gonna want to get like an angled brush, a little small angled brush, and you're just gonna make sure you're pulling it inward. Don't pull it outward, because then you're gonna drag your eyeliner further out than you want it to. And just like smudge like right on top of it. Just makes like a little pretty like little winged outliner. And I only pull it out if you want it to go further out, but if you don't, if that's as far out as you want your liner to go, just do it the opposite direction. I'm gonna tell you about the time me and my older brother, or one of my older brothers, because I'm the youngest, John, we got to do it with my brother Chris. Lip liner we're using is from Fashion Nova. It's dark number 2, and I'm gonna be using like their little brush that they have on the end of this for the first time to kind of blend it out. I've never used it. Oh my gosh, it just helps blend it out so nicely. I was the youngest, John was the oldest, Chris was in the middle. Did we team up on him sometimes? Absolutely. Like, we were a tag team. He got done, tap me in, I'm ready to go. Like, we used to really annoy my brother Chris so much, and just like get on his last nerve. I forgot to do this. I'm gonna put a little bit of this Fit Me powder from Maybelline on, just underneath my bronzer, just to like carve it out a little bit. We had like a brick mantle place in the living room, and we had bean bags, and for whatever reason I thought it was a great idea to set my bean bag on top of the mantle. Not like on top, like, but like, you know how your mantle can kind of come down and kind of come out, like if it's like brick. That's how, like, that's the style that we have. Chris was sitting like right next to me. I got pushed off with a beanbag. Mind you, I didn't have any part of this. This was not a time where we had teamed up. It was definitely a time where John acted on his own. Okay. This lipstick, I forgot to tell you guys, it is from Maybelline. It is their Ultra Matte lipstick, and this is the shade More Mocha. He pushed me off, and all I just remember is being airborne, flying through the air. I'm probably like 6 or 7 at this point. I'm a child flying through the air, because Chris had like Mortal Kombat kicked my beanbag and me off of him after my brother decided it was a good time to throw it over on top of him. This is the Fenty Fussy lip gloss, the heat one. I like the shade Fussy, but I only like it in the heat because I like a little plumping. I don't know how, but I landed on my feet somehow, like superhero pose or something. And I just knew it is time to run for your life. We start running around our house. The way the layout of our house was, like, we're running around and around and around the house. Like, you could run around it. Every time we got to like the hallway where my mama's room was, because she was in the room and she was like, she was asleep. Every time we get to like the hallway where my mama's room is, I'm like screaming for her. Mom! Like every time I get to her room. Because any other time where you don't need your parent for nothing and they in their room sleep or whatever, any little thing, you flush the toilet the wrong way, they coming out the room, what are you doing making all that noise? Go sit down somewhere. We're literally stampeding around this house like wild banshees. So every time we come around around to her room, because we're running in circles, I'm screaming for her. We had these big African wooden like fork and spoon. I feel like almost most black households, or you've seen this somebody in somebody's house before, that was on our wall in the kitchen. We ran around the house maybe 2 or 3 times. The 3rd or 4th time or whatever, Chris was like, that spoon, that's mine. I'm about to get y'all for real. All I I remember is just like looking back and seeing him grab that spoon off the wall, and I went in like Sonic mode, like, oh, I gotta go for real. Like, we're running around this house over and over again, and every time I come past her room, I'm screaming for her. She's not getting up. I was like, well, this is about to be it. Finally, my mama gets up, she saves us, she comes to our rescue. I'm just putting a little bit of highlight on. This is from Subtle, but I don't know if they still make this one. This is like their peach highlight. I feel like this was like a limited edition something, but it's one of my favorites. And this is like key for me in the fall and winter. Like, you just gotta have that. You gotta have a Rudolph nose Rudolph, okay? You gotta have it shining bright. But eventually, she gets up. Here's us. My mom was a very avid, like, at-home nudist, I will say. Like, mama didn't like to wear no clothes, especially when she get into bed. Woody not gonna have no clothes on. I'm sorry if I'm telling too much of your business, girl. She did. All I just remember is my mama came out, a breast slapped me in the face to stop me. She's grabbing the spoon from Chris. It was just like a whole thing. And what's happening, what did y'all do to him? Because it was like a common theme. Like, we like I said, we used to bother my brother, but I don't think it was terrible, you know, although the people that are doing the bothering never think it's that bad. So that is the end of story time. This is our makeup look. My hair, when I tell y'all, it would be the very last set of braids that I do that just come out looking flawless, immaculate. Like, these are the best braids I've ever done. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.